Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to unmute you there, Tim.
I'm unmuted.
Oh, you're unmuted. Mimi, are you there? Let me unmute you there, Mimi. Ah.
There we are.
Hey, Mimi. Oh, Will's there too. I see a lot of familiar people in here. Thank you so much for joining us for our inaugural, whatever this thing is. So let me officially welcome you. I'm going to have my cup of tea here.
Sure, that's what that is.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Tim, you got your cup of tea?
Julie's got hers.
Okay, very good. We got our tea. It's time for Tim. It's time.
Welcome to the official first of
Tools at Tea Time
with Tim and Rob on Tuesday. Hey.
You're not going to sing Pinky in the Brain for us?
No, sorry, no Pinky in the Brain today. No Pinky in the Brain. We'll save that. You know, we can't just blow everything the first time.
Oh, that's true.
We cannot blow everything the first time around. So
I'm Tim. I'm one of the teacher program coordinators at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. And Robert and I believe in hospitality, so we want you to really feel at home. In fact, get up and get anything you want from your own refrigerator.
Oh.
And make sure it's good. Make sure it's good. So
I don't have a beverage, but I do have my initialed coffee mug. We'll just pretend like that's
Okay, very good. Well, again, welcome to our first inaugural Tools at Tea Time with Tim and Rob on Tuesdays at 4:30. This is how we're going to be doing it. So let me advance. Oh, let me advance my slides here. So we're going to do a check-in with everybody. We're going to do a little discussion breakout. Tim is going to highlight a tool. So every week we'll highlight a tool or strategy to help you out in this time of transition. And then we'll have a community share with our special guest. I wish I had music to actually help with this, but Mimi Allen, DLL district specialist from RE2 Garfield district in Rifle. And also, you may not know this, but she is also a savvy blogger. Got her blog, All Things Mimi, where you can see fabulous pictures of puppies and cats and amazing recipes like chicken and waffles, right, Mimi?
Yes.
Indeed.
That's your toast right now. It's chicken and waffles.
yes, chicken and waffles is such a good thing. All right, so we're going to start out by, I'm going to have you think about this question. Name something you've had success in doing or learning with this big shift towards virtual. For example, for me, I'll just share for myself, one of the things that I found is that this is forcing us to think about doing programming in different ways, and that's one of the reasons why we did this, tried this out. So that is something that I've learned in learning how to use Zoom in different ways than we're more familiar with. So this is how it's going to work. I'm going to, I'm sorry there. What I'd like to invite is people from the respective groups, if you want to just send us a summary, share us a summary of what you talked about. Somebody from group 1, anybody want to get on their mic and unmute yourselves and share just a high level of what you talked about?
Christine was taking notes, but one person who works at a district level was really talking about empathy for all of the different audiences, from students to teachers to parents, parents being kind of a new audience for school districts in terms of day-to-day. Also just trying to think of, who are all of our potential audiences and what do they really need? So how can we best serve them? And then, engaging with students, just focusing on engagement as really the key, and trying to help them feel safe. And then also kind of how do we help parents who are trying to work remotely while also trying to, juggle supporting their children's education at home. So, yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks so much.
Great job, Rebecca.
Oh, thanks for taking notes.
Very good. Well, I'd love to hear maybe from one more group. Let's pick randomly. Let's pick group 6.
can you tell us who was in group 6? I don't know.
Doug, why don't you just share what your group talked about? I'm going to put you on the spot. What did you guys talk about?
Gist from our group was, yeah, no problem. I think the gist from our group was that we are personally, and the folks we work with, learning to appreciate moving slow and engaging in kind of a growth mindset for ourselves and for our students as everyone explores this new form of learning, because none of us are experts in it, and allowing ourselves to go slow, especially early.
I think that's good advice. Yeah, that's really good advice. We all have to deal with this with a lot of grace, is what I keep reminding myself. So yes, absolutely. Well, thanks for your discussions. We're going to keep moving along because we want to keep this tight and short, because I know everybody's busy. And we're going to highlight a tool. And we got this from our imaginary database of fans. It's great. It's just really great to have all these fans, I tell you. And so this question comes from Rodney. Thank you, Rodney, from this question from our imaginary database. Hey, Tim and Rob, how do interactive polls work? Do you have any ideas on how we can use them? So I'm going to stop my screen and I'm going to pass this over to Tim. If you want to jump on there. Rodney, thank you so much for this question. We're so grateful for this question. Wow, Rodney's the best. You know, we don't even know who Rodney is because he's from our imaginary database. So Tim.
Yeah, Rodney, what a time-sensitive question, Rodney. Anyway, yeah, this question we thought would be useful at this time because we felt like polls more than ever are a tool that can be really useful to teachers, because this is one of the first times that we are not physically present with our students in normal human ways. You know, and yet students probably in this time of uncertainty have an even greater than average need for like connection with their teacher and with other people. And they need check-ins or social emotional supports. And they need to have a voice, like a way to be able to talk to you. But when you're synchronously online, that's hard to have 30 people talking at the same time. And you can't just say turn and talk, although you can do breakout groups. And then finally, you know, they need to have a sense of my ideas matter to you and they're powerful. So we thought that polls might be a good thing to feature. So we thought we'd check in. Many of you already are using polls, and you might be using them in a non-digital environment in your school, or you might be using them online. So we thought we'd just ask you really quickly to type into the chat, what types of polls are you using right now in your school, in your office, with the people you work with? Okay, let's see what we're getting here. I see.
Christine says Kahoot. Pear Deck. We've got quizzes.
Menti.
Zoom polls.
Yeah, Socrative. I have never heard of that one. Yeah, so there's
that's a popular one.
Yeah, Google surveys. Yeah, there's a wide variety of options out there, right? And they each have their advantages and disadvantages. For example, as far as being seamless in Zoom, just using the Zoom polls is great, but that requires a subscription that you may or may not have. So we're just going to show you one today that's free, and you can use it with your students and let you try it out. And that one's called Poll Everywhere. And Poll Everywhere has certain advantages. For one, it requires no special hardware or devices. So if you've been fumbling with those smart clickers and trying to get it all work out, or we don't have the money to buy those, you don't need any hardware, and you don't need to download any software. In fact, students don't even need to download an app of any kind to their phone or their computer to use it. And it can be used on a wide variety of things: phones, tablets, laptops, desktops, iPads. It can be used on a wide variety of things. You can use it now, and you can use it when you go back to school. And the good thing is if you get an educator's license, it's free for up to 40 users. So that's more than the average class size. And if you want the bells and whistles for $50 a year, you can tell who's saying what. You can collect data on it and see how often they're getting your questions right, etc. It embeds directly into your PowerPoint or Google Slides, so you're not trying to hop in and out of your presentation to give your polls. I'm frozen up. you can customize it. Like Kahoot has a certain look, but with Poll Everywhere, you can put in your own diagrams and graphs and things like that. And it has varied types of polls, the normal, like multiple choice, true, false, but a couple of really cool ones are, especially if you're checking in emotionally, is word clouds. And the last one is just open responses. So let's let you all try to get on to Poll Everywhere really quickly to try this out. All you need is either a cell phone or your current computer. If you're using your current computer, you just want to minimize but not close us out on Zoom and go to this web address, but it's easier on a cell phone. So if you have your cell phone, turn that on and pretend like you're going to send someone a text, and you're going to open a new text number and send your text to that phone number that's on the screen. 22333. So we're going to give you a second to try it out. 22333 is your phone number you're sending the text to. Oops, sorry. We jumped. Back. There we go. And you're going to put in the first text message you send is Tim Blessy 670. So you're going to send that as your first text message. I'll give you a second. Now, I am going to say that if you're still struggling to get on when I go to the first poll question, those same directions are going to be at the top of the slide. So if you're like, wait, it's still at the top of the slide. Okay, so we said, like it's important when you're checking in with your students to check in with them emotionally. So the great thing is you can do a word cloud that represents like where your class is emotionally. And we're going to do that with you really quickly. And the first question is, in a word, tell us what's keeping you grounded right now. And all you do is just type in as if you're sending a text and hit enter, type the word as if you're sending the text. You can see some words are small and some words are bigger. The cool thing about this is it tells you where the commonalities are. The bigger the word is, the more people are saying it. So like I typed the word grounded in there 5 times, but it looks like several people, family is keeping them grounded a lot. And you'll know if that's true for your students. And maybe there'll be some surprises. Like, let's see, baking, alcohol. I love it. Yeah. And the advanced version does allow you to kind of filter out like inappropriate language and things if you decide to use that. But anyway, that gives you a feel for that. Okay, our second and final poll. Robert, did you have anything to add?
Just if people can't get on their phones, I also put a link in the chat as well. You're welcome, Shelley.
Yeah, it's at the top of the slide too, and it'll be at the top of the next slide too. Okay, you could also do this, give a multiple choice question about what you're studying. There we go. Okay, and here's our multiple choice question, which is, which of the following is not a positive result of using polls with your students? Is it A, anonymity, which adds safety for student participation? B, it increases ratio, allowing more students to answer a question at the same time? C, it's easier than asking students to raise their hand? Or D, it causes a physiological release of noradrenaline, which we know to be the curiosity chemical. It's the chemical that people give out when they're curious. Which of those is not a positive result? Which is not a positive result? And if you look, when I move my mouse in the upper right-hand corner, here are my teacher options, okay? So I'm trusting a few of you maybe have voted on this. And I'm gonna reveal the responses. And we got a variety of responses. For sure, the majority of people said it's easier than students raising their hand. It's not easier. You have to write the polls and you have to embed them. But the others are definitely true. More students can answer, and especially if you have middle school, high school students where they're embarrassed to give their thoughts in front of the group, they can do it anonymously. And there's lots of studies that show that people are naturally more curious if you ask them to guess before you do the sage on a stage big reveal. So that's the advantage of polling. Now, of course, you can use it like anybody out there use Paige Keeley's probes. She has these things already set up where students can try to come up with their initial model of what they think is going on or vote for which model is the way they understand it. So here's one about a hot day and lemonade. And you could just put the choices into a poll and see where your students are at the beginning. What is their current model of how things work? And that's another way to use a poll. Okay, we're running out of time and we're right at that 8-minute mark. So I'm going to turn this back over to Robert.
And just the other day, Tim, actually, can you continue to share this slide?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I will.
It's okay. The other day I had to do a program for Metro State and they use Blackboard. And I tried to use their poll system in Blackboard and it didn't work. But I still had my polls, and I just had people just write in the chat because, you know, it was just write your response in the chat. And it actually, you know, worked really well for that notion of interacting with one another. We've got a lovely screen there, Tim.
Yeah, a lovely
You want me
screen.
to, I'll just share.
Okay,
It's
no,
all
I'm
right.
back.
I'll just
I'm back.
share.
I'm back.
It's okay.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Now very good. Now I'd like to open the floor to our lovely, lovely guest, savvy blogger and ELL district specialist, Mimi Allen. Mimi. Hi, Mimi. Tell us what's going on in Rifle District and if you have any other comments to share on that. So go ahead.
I just think that it's already been mentioned. I mean, we did when we streamed to our whole district yesterday morning, we inserted the same slide every like 4 or 5 slides, and that was calm down and keep it simple. You know, because I think people that are tech savvy are wanting to take it and run with it, and we're trying to preach keep it as same as possible so your kids have a sense of continuity and you yourself don't have this huge learning curve to learn all these fancy new things that you don't, you know, that you don't know how to use yet because you're going to get frustrated. So, and as a language person, just making sure that the images that people are using in the videos either have closed captioning in English or Spanish, and that the images that they're using are actually explain the words. It's not just the first thing that popped up under a Google image search, because people think they illustrate vocab posters like that, and that's not really what it's supposed to be. So it's really no different than when you're doing a presentation to kids in a physical classroom. We just have a unique opportunity to put some thought in it because we're creating the content beforehand. And we talked about in our breakout group that we have the gift and the blessing of time with this distance learning, and use it to your advantage, but don't make yourself crazy chasing after all these neat, shiny, techie things. Keep it simple.
Thanks, Mimi. And we've got some resources. Douglas is added here. If you want to get on the mic, feel free to, Douglas, to explain what this is.
This was put out by it's a guidance on culturally responsive remote education put out by NYU, and I was just shared this earlier today and read through it and feel like, especially starting on page 3, what does culturally responsive sustaining remote education look like? Everything past that is just so good for teachers to have in their back pocket. It gives a lot of, starting on like page 4, a lot of just bullet pointed information on what you need, what students, parents, and families need to know and do in this time as we negotiate distance learning to keep things culturally relevant. And I think a lot of the suggestions they have for information to get with students could be gathered through polling.
There you go. Thank you so much for sharing that, Douglas.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that that gets sent out on the CSIN list there. Mimi, I know that you've been working directly. Can you talk a little bit about the system you've set up in terms of giving support for teachers?
You mean on the language side or just on the creating digital
Your
content?
Hangout, you know.
Yeah. So we, as a district, we have 6 district level coaches, and we all have set up through Google Meet virtual office hours so that people can just pop in when they have a question. We kind of tried to categorize it, you know, if it's a Google Meets question 10 to 12, Google Classroom 2 to 4, but honestly, it's kind of just turned into a free-for-all, which is fine because people are generally more comfortable talking to a face than they are watching somebody they don't know in a tutorial video. But we also linked off of our district page with the tutorial videos for the things that we're zeroing in on. We're recommending like 3 or 4 different things that we are going to train on so that's a limited number of options for people. So we have office hours for Flipgrid. We have office hours for Google Meet, Google Classroom, Edpuzzle, that sort of thing. We tried to pick the ones that we felt had the most functionality and were the easiest to use. And so we're supporting them both through the resources from the people, the Flipgrid people and Edpuzzle, but also with people in the district who have experience using them in the classroom so that you can pop on and actually, I can share my screen with you, or if you don't see what I see, you can share your screen with me. And it's just a little bit more personal, more comfortable contact. It's the closest we can get to a cup of tea and a soothing conversation in today's present reality. So we're trying to make it as personalized as possible. And Google Meet has been our primary, Google Hangouts, Google Meet has been our primary platform for doing that so far.
So just to summarize that, using Google Hangout as an office hour space and support space, and then limiting the number of tools that you actually are using as a district in order to help with tech support, so that you're all in agreement about these are the kind of tools that we're going to be using and sharing with one another.
Yeah, that doesn't mean, if somebody wants to go rogue and learn some fancy new thing and use it, that's great, but they just wouldn't have the opportunity to talk to somebody who also uses it. It's just a way for us to kind of put some sort of I don't know, container on the amount of PD that teachers are having to ingest in order to know enough to get started.
Very good. Mimi, thank you so much for helping us out with our inaugural whatever this is, webinar. I don't know what it is. And Rodney from the Imaginary Data Fan Base. Rodney, thank you so much for that question. We'll look forward to more questions. And honestly, if you do have questions, let us know. I'm going to stop the recording. This recording will be available. I'll post it on CSUN. We'll find a way to have this on the DMNS website. Again, this is Robert Peo, Denver Museum of Nature and Science, and Tim
Blessy. And next week we might even have prizes like a roll of toilet paper or something.
Wow. Roll of toilet paper. You got to be there for that. So
that in the cabinet of wonder now is all toilet paper.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keep the questions
Mimi,
coming. We want to know what teachers need.
Mimi, if you can stay on in case people have questions. I'm going to stop the recording, and this is it for our program. But if you want to stay on and ask questions, just put your mics and we can have a longer conversation. So I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick favor of everybody? If when you stop sharing your screen, can everybody look at their camera and turn their camera on and wave so I could take a picture of this is part of my new life of Zoom meetings.
Okay, everybody.
So, everybody look at your camera and smile and wave. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Send us that picture, Douglas.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you want to stay on, great. If not,